many people believe in love at first sight, and honestly, I want to say I want to be one of those people, but apparently all the people that I fall in love with end up never actually lasting. But this story gets really intense, and honestly, one thing I will say is that if you guys are helpless romantics, maybe this story will help you understand things a bit better in the real world. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but also really weird story. So today's story all takes place back when I was in grade 11. Now, in grade 11, I had a car, I was cool, and I was actually a pretty charming guy. I wasn't that ugly, at least I don't think so. You guys can comment down below. Here's a photo of me. Tell me what you guys think. But honestly, in my mind, I wasn't, ugly. And I remember in my grade 11 year, I was one time going inside my car and I was driving towards a barber shop that I would always go to. If you guys don't know, I've been using the same barber ever since I was in grade 9. And this guy is like a brother to me. No joke. I would take a bullet for my own barber. And I remember as I was on the way to my barber shop, I ended up messaging my barber saying, yo, bro, I'm heading over to the shop. Do you need anything? Now, me and my barber had this awesome connection. No joke. It's not like he would give me any happy endings or anything, but he was like I said, a brother. And I would always ask him if he wants anything. And I remember he ended up texting me back saying, yo, yeah, bro, can you get me a coffee? I'm actually really thirsty. And I just need to wake up. Yeah, I got you. Is there any specific place you want me to go to? Starbucks or anything? Oh, no, just get me a double coffee at the coffee shop across the street from the barber shop. I ended up being really confused. And well, one thing led to another. I ended up actually parking at the barber shop and I went across the street and I realized that there was a cafe there that I've never seen before. Now, usually I know things around my city. I know the city like the back of my hand when it comes to the streets of it. But when it comes to new things opening and new development, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really that into it. And I remember when I walked inside, I ended up seeing a really beautiful woman that was a barista at the cafe. Now, when I saw her, I remember my eyes just glued right to her eye sockets. I was staring at her like a hawk in love. I was so confused about who this girl was, where is she from, and how does she exist? And why is she in here of all things? But I ended up lining up at the cafe to, take my order. And I just ended up keep staring at this girl as if I was a weirdo because she had such a beautiful smile. And honestly, while she was serving customers, for some reason, it made me excited to, see her working. I'm not saying I got bricked up or anything. I'm just saying it was a good connection I felt there. But the connection felt even more instant when I went up to the counter and I said, hey, can I get a double coffee and a latte if that's cool? Oh yeah, no problem. And the name will be, Bubba? Like B-U-B-B-A? No, B-A-B-A. Cool name. Okay, here, I got your order. That'll be $9.45, please. No problem. And I remember as I was about to give her 10 bucks cash, I'm not joking, my hand was shaking like crazy. I was so nervous to even just hand this girl money. To be fair, I did give her the money. I'm not saying I robbed her or anything, but I was so nervous because this girl looked at me straight in the eyes as if she wanted to I don't know, marry me? I don't know. It just felt weird. But anyways, afterwards, I ended up standing on the side waiting for her to make my order, and when she finally finished, she ended up saying, for Bubba? Yeah, that's me. Here you go. Have a wonderful day. Yeah, you too. And I remember right as I say, yeah, you too, and when I ended up saying that, me and her just had a moment together where we would just stare at each other's eyes as if something was changing. The world didn't evolve around anything else but us. It felt really cool, and from there, I ended up just staring at her until another person that was in line ended up saying, hey, can you take my order already? I've been waiting here for a while now. Oh yeah, sorry, is what she says, and I ended up leaving the cafe. When I left, I remember I ended up walking over and I kept turning my head back thinking, oh man, I should ask for her number or something. But I just didn't have the balls to, I guess, at the time. So I ended up going to my barber. I gave him his coffee and we ended up getting a super awesome haircut done on my hair, which to be fair, my barber never lets me down to this day. I remember the next day I woke up and I woke up at 8:30 in the morning and I was really, really thirsty. So in my mind, I thought, hey, I could go upstairs to the fridge and get some milk and make my own coffee, or I could go to the cafe. So since it was a Saturday and school was off, I ended up driving over to the cafe once again, hoping that she was there, and she was. I walked up to her and I said, hey, I'm just here to get the same old. Oh yeah, you were here yesterday. Okay, so you want a double and a latte on the side? Yeah, that's all I need. And the crazy part was that I said yes to that, even though I wasn't gonna go see my barber. I just said yes because I wanted to seem like a natural customer to her and just make it seem like she knew what I wanted already. I didn't feel like correcting her. So I remember she ended up giving me 2 coffees and And the same thing, I ended up going across the street and giving it to my friend. And I remember this went on for, I want to say, over 2 weeks of me doing this. I got my friend free coffee, and I also basically kept seeing this girl spending over 10 bucks every single day. And after 2 weeks, well, as you guys can imagine, I spent over $140 on coffee for me to talk to this girl. But every time I did do it though, there was a little conversation that would happen between me and her. Like, for example, on the 4th day of me going there, she ended up saying, oh, like, so do you live around the area? Yeah, I live down the street. My barber is actually right across the street. Oh, do you work there? Because you go there so often. Yeah, I work there. Oh, that's really cool. Thanks. Yeah, you know, it's cool being a barber. And basically, I'm not gonna lie, what started with a white lie ended up becoming bigger and bigger. Because next up, she started to think that I was a guy that lived on my own, that was in high school, and that also was extremely cool and a barber. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it got really awkward. And I want to say after the 10th day of me going there is when things started to really change. Because at this point, we were on a first name basis. She would call me Bubba, I would call her by her first name, and me and her started to establish more of a major connection. And it got to the point where I remember I ended up basically, like, you know, going to get a coffee on the 10th day. And when I ordered it, she ended up making a joke saying, oh, you're here. I was thinking about you, a latte. At that moment, I remember I ended up laughing at that joke because it was actually pretty funny and pretty creative. And I remember after she finished making my coffees, she ended up handing it to me, but with a napkin this time. I ended up basically walking out of the cafe, and when I looked at the napkin, I saw that her number was on it. And at that moment, you have no idea, I ended up cheering so excitingly to the point where I ended up actually dropping both coffees. But I didn't care about the coffee, to be honest. The only reason I went to the cafe was because of her. So at this moment, I was freaking out, and I'm like, yes, like, this is a W, like, I did it. And I went inside my car, I put her number down on my phone, and I ended up shooting her my first text message saying, hey, I was thinking about you, a latte lately. Yeah, I ended up texting her back the same joke she told me, but I mean, as weird as it sounds, it worked. Now, it wasn't until the 14th day, which was the final 2 weeks of me going there, where everything became instantly different. Because I remember I ended up going in there and I got my coffees, and right as I did and she handed them to me, I ended up telling her, looking at her straight in the eye, saying, hey, what time do you get off work? Oh, like, probably like a couple hours. Why? What's up? I don't know. I was wondering, do you want to like maybe go out tonight if that's cool? Oh, are you asking me out? Well, yeah, because, you know, words cannot express so how much you mean to me, is what I said. And I know it sounds super cringy, okay, but I was trying to be cool. And to be honest, she started laughing and saying, yeah, okay, I'll be free tonight. Where do you want to meet up? Oh, like, I could pick you up. Okay, cool. I'll text you my address. And from there, I officially had a date with the finest barista or coffee connoisseur or coffee girl I've ever seen. No joke. I remember I ended up basically from there going inside my car. I went home and took 2 showers back to back and brushed my teeth 4 separate times. And I brushed my teeth 4 times just to make sure I get the coffee taste out of my mouth that I had the last 2 weeks. And well, one thing led to another. She finally ended up texting me saying, hey, here's my address. Come pick me up at like, I want to say like in like 3 hours. Okay, yeah, cool. I'll be there. And I ended up driving to her place. And when I picked her up, me and her, we actually ended up going to a nice restaurant that I had planned out. I don't really know where to take girls on dates, to be honest, but when I took her to this restaurant, me and her sat down, we ate food, and I learned a lot about her. But the one thing I realized during the date that I totally forgot I did after 2 weeks was that I forgot that the amount of white lies I told her that ended up becoming one big lie was a lot. Because she ended up asking me things about, you know, cutting hair. She ended up asking me things about, you know, how is it living alone? And it got to the point where I felt really, really bad. Like, honestly, I really liked this girl, but I liked her to the point where I would lie to her. It made me really realize that I messed up on a lot of things, but obviously I just kept going with the lies because I didn't want to ruin our night. From there, I remember after the dinner, we ended up going back inside my car, and I looked at her and I'm like, so do you want to go back to your place? Yeah, that'd be great. And I ended up driving her to her place, and when I parked my car in front of her place, she looks at me and says, oh, do you want to come in for a bit? Yeah, that'll be cool. So I ended up going inside this girl's house, and me and her, as you guys may know, we did the devil's tango. And the next day when I woke up, I remember I looked at her and I'm like, oh, right, I'm still here. And I look over at my phone and I realized that it was literally 9:30 in the morning. And that's when I said, oh, shoot, I'm late for school. She turns over and she's like, what do you mean school? Yeah, I gotta go to school. Oh, like college? And that's when I realized this girl was like 5 years older than me. She was 24, like 25, and I was in grade 11. So you guys can kind of guess what happened next. She got really upset, and that's when I ended up confessing the truth to her, you know, that I was actually a high schooler that had a car that my parents gave me. And yeah, I don't really work a job. I just make videos. Yeah, she was really upset and annoyed, and never saw her again. I got instantly blocked. But that just goes to show that if you are in love with someone, don't lie to them. It doesn't help.